This is a $1,000 T-bone roast, and I'm on a mission to make the world's spiciest dry-aged steak. From the hottest peppers in the world to a 6 million Scoville unit pepper extract, the hot honey we're gonna cover this thing with can only be described as one thing: liquid death. It's time to embark on a fiery steak journey. Let's get started. This is one of the most unique cuts I've ever worked with. A whole short loin primal. On this side, we have the tenderloin, or those beautiful filet mignon steaks. Whereas on this side here, we have the strip loin, or the New York strip. And combined, this roast is where we get our porterhouses and those T-bone steaks. Though I will say there is a ton of bone in here. I've never actually sliced through them before, so that should be interesting. And as you guys know, today we are bringing on the heat, so let's check on those spicy contenders. In front of me, I have all of our hot honey ingredients ranked from super nice and friendly all the way up to absolutely terrifying. To start, we'll of course be adding a whole bunch of honey. And starting off very tame at 1,000 Scoville units, we have chili powder. And still relatively mild at 2,000 Scoville units, we have some Korean chili flakes. Next up, we have a Fresno pepper at 3,000 Scoville. These technically aren't supposed to be that hot, but honestly, I cooked with them the other day and they were way hotter than I expected, so I'm already getting nervous. Moving on to the one and only habanero. Now personally, these are as far as I go when it comes to cooking. At 225,000 Scoville units, it is a huge jump, and these bad boys are spicy. We're talking 100 times hotter than the Fresno. We have officially arrived in very not chill territory. This is a dried Carolina Reaper at 2.2 million Scoville heat units. Remember when I said that Fresno was pretty spicy? For reference, this guy right here is nearly 1,000 times spicier. You can tell it has that deep spice situation going on. I don't think humans should be consuming these. Well, we've done dried Carolina Reapers, so of course it's time for fresh, and this is actually my first time ever seeing it. Even just visually, these things look dangerous. Like if I was just a little animal living out in the wilderness, I'd probably stay away from this one.
It's got a stinger.
Just like their dried counterparts, they come in at 2.2 million Scoville units. And these actually used to be the hottest pepper in the world, though recently Pepper X came out, which is slightly hotter, but still, these are essentially as hot as it gets. I'm gonna try just tapping my tongue with one. Wow. I look like a huge baby right now, but I just barely touched the tip. That is actually scary that something can be that spicy. People like eat these things whole. I need milk. We've made it to our final ingredient. Now, so far, we've been at least in the realm of like natural peppers that people eat. This is unnatural.
Something even more diabolical.
This is Mad Dog 357, Mark of the Beast. There's a lot of sixes on there. 6 million Scoville, 666, giving some hell vibes. And it does not look like it's from this earth. Let's see what we got on the bottle here. You cannot run. You cannot hide. All you can do is face your fate as the evil devours your senses and the fires of hell consume you entirely. When your pleas for mercy remain unanswered,
don't say you weren't warned. Let that sink in.
Hey Max, there's a sink at the door for you.
Not a good time.
Max, I thought we told you to stop inviting this guy over.
As if that wasn't pleasant enough, we have some other disclaimers here. This product can cause serious injury if directly consumed, ingested, or applied to the body. Disclaim, release, and relinquish any and all claims, actions, and lawsuits. I am not inebriated or otherwise not sound of mind, contact, or other means related to the damage or injury that I am fully able to make a sound decision about the purchase of this product.
Nice.
We're gonna be very careful when we open this stuff. Oh, it is super viscous. The color of that just looks deadly. It almost reminds me of tar with a slight red tinge to it. I have no idea how spicy this stuff actually is, so to kind of gauge it, I'm gonna dilute this water bottle with precisely 1 drop. With our singular droplet added, we're gonna close this up and give it a shake. Time to see how this tastes. Now I'm gonna very carefully take 1 droplet. I don't know if I'm being way too scared or not scared enough. Whoa. It is literally just as spicy as touching the tip of my tongue to the Carolina Reaper. That is terrifying. Is this still twitching? My eye was actually twitching for a second from that 1 drop. Before I was terrified of those Carolina Reapers, but now they look like a sweet treat compared to this. We'll add in a healthy dose. With all of our spiciness added, this might be a huge mistake, but I am now going to heat this up to infuse. That looks deadly. Okay, turns out that was a huge mistake. We let this cool, but heating it up completely gassed out our entire house. We actually left for about 15 minutes. The air is still filled with spiciness, but we are officially done, and if this is not the hottest hot honey in the world, I truly don't know what is. It is just about time we add this to the roast, but before we do that, I of course have to taste it. In front of me, I have 5 hot honeys ordered in terms of their spiciness. Given what we put in here, mine should dwarf the rest of these in terms of spiciness, but we'll start over here. Something I realized is that each hot honey brand is named after a person. We're starting with Sue. Ooh, that has definitely got a kick to it, but still sweet and pretty pleasant. There's spice on my eye, and I don't know why. Bars. Next up, Mike's Extra Spicy. Whoa! That is significantly spicier than the first. Whoa! Is this really only the second spiciest? That is way spicier than the first one. Give me the milk.
No milk.
I need the milk. Ooh, oh, is that whole milk? That is good stuff. That's the real stuff. If you're not drinking whole milk, what are you drinking? Next up, we have Nate. And this one has habaneros in it. Good. Good meaning not too hot. This is definitely spicier. Next up, we have Melinda. And this one has ghost peppers. Ooh! It tastes good, but it is very hot. If this was like knock your socks off hot, I don't really know if this is gonna be edible. I'm just going to touch my tongue to the tip of it because given how much of that extract we added to it, I feel like it
Might not be safe to consume this.
That ain't right. The tip of my tongue, give me the ice cream. It's like I just got burned. Oh my God. Is that dairy-free ice cream?
Yeah, it is.
Get the, give me the milk. Oh my God, that is toxic material. Let's throw it on a steak. As my good friend Gugu would say, enough talking, let's do it. And we are just completely covering the roast with our hot honey, creating a sweet and spicy shell. Ultimately, I'm hoping the final product will take on some of the fruity flavors from all the peppers we added. And while I imagine it'll still be spicy, I really hope by the time we cook it, it's still edible. But there's only one way to find out. Getting it all completely coated in that fiery hot honey. It's a lot of fun, but I've created quite the mess. Just happy I'm not the one cleaning today.
Yeah, this is so much fun.
And with that, into the dry ager. With our ridiculously spicy roast dry aging, it's time for a little side quest. Now, I've always wondered what would happen if we cure a steak completely submerged in honey for 7 days, so that's what we're gonna do. Typically, curing something involves salting it, seasoning it, and also adding a sweet element, so really what we're doing here should work. Though completely covering the steak in many pounds of honey is certainly not the traditional way to do it. My hope is that the salt will penetrate deeply and keep it seasoned while the honey will form like a glossy, sweet exterior, but only time will tell. All that's left to do is let this sit in the fridge for 7 days. And just like that, our 50 days are up. And this is what we got. And this is quite easily the craziest looking dry age project to date. The exterior has dried out as expected, but there's still a nice shine covering the whole thing. A lot of those chilies seem to have dried out, and honestly at this point, this roast doesn't even look like it comes from this planet. 50 days is a pretty long dry age, and I'm just hoping the inside still looks good. And all that's left to do is slice this bad boy open. I'm gonna be honest, I have never actually sliced one of these before. Typically they're done with bandsaws, but we have a few tools at our disposal that hopefully should work. And I'll start off with this fillet knife right here. Hopefully I'll get lucky and not hit bone right down the middle. I think I got bone. I did not get lucky. Moving on over to the bone saw. This is actually going through like butter. Man, this is a lot of work. My arm is killing me.
Dude, my shoulder's killing me right now.
Just like butter. Ah!
Hell yeah.
This is probably the most convenient steak to cook and slice and purchase whole. Clearly this is not, but if you are looking to butcher your own stuff, check out my last video. You'll save tons of money doing this yourself. Pretty easy right there, just like butter. And 50 days into the process, this is what we got. And I have to say, it is looking pretty epic. There is a little bit of oxidation, which is pretty common with dry age, but as you can see, that marbling is super defined. Quick side note, all the meat I use in my videos is sourced from Alpine Butcher. They have the best stuff on the planet, so if you're interested, be sure to check them out. I'll have them linked down below. It is time to trim this guy up. Now, normally I'd remove some of the fat, but I do kind of want to taste the flavor on the outside. So we're gonna leave that. However, on the tenderloin side, I am gonna remove the pellicle. And I, of course, really want to taste whatever flavor's going on here. So we're keeping the seasonings very simple with salt and black pepper. That should be perfect. But don't think we forgot about that honey cured T-bone. This thing looks ridiculous. The steak has definitely darkened up in color, and because the honey is now fully cooled, it is extremely thick. It almost reminds me of some sort of candy. In this format, it just doesn't seem like honey. And let's see what we got. And this looks absolutely wild. That honey is just cascading down. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. Now I think regardless of what we do with this thing, it is going to be extremely sweet, so I'm just gonna let it drain and remove some of that honey. It has a beautiful shine to it, and the color is just this stunning deep red. You'll also notice how that marbling is now extremely defined. This almost looks like a Wagyu steak, and it's only prime grade. Now, even though we've seasoned this before the honey soaking process, I know that honey is going to be extremely overpowering, so I am going to hit it with a little bit more seasoning. And with both our steaks seasoned up, let's get them on the grill. Starting off with the honey cured T-bone. I really want to avoid burning all that honey, so started it on the cool side of the grill.
Low and slow.
And just like that, we've reached 100 internal, and I can't believe how good this is looking. We'll just throw it over direct heat for a quick final sear. Next, it's time for the hot honey dry age, and we're going direct heat with this one. This is a fatty cut, so these flames are going wild, flipping frequently to avoid burning while still getting that crust. And at 115 internal, we should be good to go. And we'll start by slicing into our honey cured, slow smoked porterhouse. And I have to say, if this thing tastes even half as good as it looks and smells, then we are in for a treat. I was expecting the whole thing to burn, but it is remarkably caramelized, and the inside is super juicy. It seems to have slightly firmed up with an almost deep red cured color that you'd see on something like pastrami. It's like meat candy. Next up, it is time for the hot honey dry age. Overall, pretty nice crust going on the meat itself, and sort of as expected, the fat cap there filled with that honey is a bit burnt, or maybe a little bit past burnt, but either way, let's slice into it. Start by removing that little tenderloin. And slicing into it, this is everything I want to see in a steak. Extremely juicy with a medium rare internal. It looks so good to the point I almost forgot it's covered in 6 million Scoville units worth of heat. But either way, it's time to give it a shot. The time is finally here. I am honestly terrified to taste our 6 million Scoville dry age. But before we do so, I do want to mention that if you are interested in supporting the channel, Max Jerky is by far the best way to do it. Your support is the reason we're able to do fun experiments just like this. We have all sorts of incredible flavors of the best jerky in the world, so check it out at maxjerky.com. Going for the 7-day honey cured T-bone. Wow. Wow, that is fantastic. It tastes nothing like steak. It's way more reminiscent of like Korean short ribs or like those Chinese spare ribs. The texture's there, the flavor's there, but that is shockingly something I would absolutely make again. I've been stalling for too long. Time to give the 6 million Scoville dry age a taste. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna start by just dabbing my tongue with it. It's got that kind of kick that creeps up on you. I'm just gonna go for a taste. Whoa, okay. All right, whatever piece of the inside is fine, the outside is not. Okay, I'm officially sweating. I'm getting some of the notes of the peppers. The spice is a little too intense, but the flavor is kind of there. I definitely get some of that sweetness from the honey, and I'll for sure be dry aging with that in the future. But with all the heat we threw on top of it, it's just a little too much. Taste was like a 7, convenience factor was like a 2. I literally smoked my whole house out, burned my face off multiple times, though I will say it was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna enjoy my milk, and we'll see you next time.